Do not purchase new construction housing until you watch this video in its entirety. This video is going to be about some things happening in the current housing market that you need to consider if you're thinking new construction. Now, a lot of people out there want you to believe that new construction is the best way to go. And there's definitely some pros to owning new construction, which we're going to talk about at the end of this video. But I want you to think about the things happening right now with regards to the housing market, with regards to time delays, cost, interest rates, all of these things that might make owning new construction way less desirable than you think it should be. Now, if you've been following the housing market over the last couple of years, you know that there's a lack of supply across the United States, somewhere between 4 and 6 million units, depending on what you read. So builders are looking at that, thinking the idea if I build new construction, new homes, there's an opportunity to profit, right? And there definitely is. And that's why building permits, that's why housing starts have risen considerably over the last couple of months, is because builders are looking to take advantage of this lack of supply of housing. But there's some negatives to this process, and that's what we're going to dive into right now. The very first thing I want you to consider when thinking new construction is, are you on a strict time frame? Do you have a certain period of time that you have to move? Are you selling a house and buying another house? Are you contingent by selling your house and finding a replacement property? Maybe you're moving out of state, a job relocation, if you will, and you have to find housing by a certain period of time. Or maybe you have a growing family, kids on the way, you have to be into that new house before the baby arrives. Well, unfortunately, in the environment that we're in at the moment, there are huge delays when it comes to new construction. I've had several clients move out of state over the last couple of years, and they've come to find out that their house that they were looking to buy is 3 to 6 months in some cases behind with regards to actually being finalized. And that puts them in a really tough position. In some cases, they've had to back out and find something else because they needed housing before that. In other cases, they're doing short-term rentals. But just understand, there is a delay when it comes to housing across the United States for the most part. Why? For one, there's a lack of building material out there. You know, the supply bottlenecks that are happening all across the country? Well, housing supplies are part of that bottleneck in many, many ways. In addition to that, a lot of builders out there are having a very difficult time finding good, quality workers to actually show up and do their job. And therefore, they're having a hard time meeting some of the deadlines when it comes to finishing these homes. So if you're considering buying new construction, understand that what you're promised with regards to a finish date might not be realistic. You might need to plan on a couple of weeks to a couple of months further when thinking new construction. And with those time delays, the thing that you need to consider at the moment is the potential of rising interest rates. If interest rates rise between now and when your home is going to be completed, that means you're potentially paying way more money per month to own that home. And honestly, it's kind of a guessing game at the moment as to where interest rates go over the last couple of weeks. We've seen interest rates rise nearly 0.75% over the last couple of weeks. And while a lot of people out there believe that interest rates could go higher, which means that you have no idea what your mortgage payment's actually going to be in a couple of months when your home's built. What if you're getting into new construction now where your home's not supposed to be finished until late in 2022? What about the unknowns of where the housing market's going to be then? And what if you have a deposit put down on that property that's non-refundable? Are you in a position to back out of that property, lose that deposit because of the potential of rising interest rates? You know, I often have people reaching out every week saying, I'm buying new construction. Where do you see interest rates in 3 months or 6 months? Should I do a longer term lock? You know, those are the things that you have to consider when thinking new construction, especially when you're more than a couple of months away from the completion date. So if you're thinking new construction, just understand that time delays could lead to higher cost if interest rates continue to rise. Now, the thing is, we don't really know where the market's going with regards to housing prices, with regards to interest rates. Now, I'm one, if you follow my channel at all, I'm not a crasher. I'm not a housing crash believer. I do believe that the market needs to stabilize, but at the same time, I do think you're going to continue to see Homes appreciate. I think you're going to see interest rates level off. In fact, I'm one of those people that believes that interest rates might pull back at some point in the future. But you have to consider this. If you're buying a house now, you can't go in with the expectation that interest rates are going to drop, that you are going to be able to refinance. Even though that's what I believe, you have to assume the negative side. What if you're stuck with that payment for the next 5 years? Are you comfortable doing that? Are you in a position to do that and live comfortably so you're not stretching yourself? These are things that you have to consider when doing new construction. Now, here's the thing. Maybe your house is towards the completion date and you're getting ready to move in and you find out there's supply constraints on things like garage doors, things like garage door openers, things that you need for your house to actually be complete. Well, that's happening across the country at the moment. In fact, a recent article that I read in the Wall Street Journal said because of all the supply bottlenecks across the country, a lot of these key housing supplies like garage door openers, garage doors, are way behind with regards to production, and therefore the homes can't actually be finished. Even though the structure of the home is done, and it's ready to move in, there are things in the houses like dishwashers and garbage disposals, things that are back ordered for months where they can't finish these properties. So these are definitely things that you have to consider as well. Now, in addition to the time delays, the potential of rising interest rate and supply bottlenecks, there's also some things that you have to consider from a new construction standpoint. And now these really fall in any market, right? Not just the market that we're headed into at the moment, but if you're buying new construction 5 years from now, these are things that you still have to consider when buying new construction. And that is that cost to own new construction, while the maintenance cost is definitely on the lower side, going in and furnishing that home with regards to things like window treatments, things like landscaping, the costs are going to be way higher because on new construction, typically they're not finishing the homes in that manner, right? They're just building the structure of the home, putting the flooring in, putting the kitchens, the bathrooms, the carpet, whatever. But you go in, you have to do, things like the blinds, things like the landscaping on the outside. Most of the times these homes are finished with dirt lots, and it's up to you to come in to finish those homes. In addition to that, if you're buying new construction and you want upgrades outside of the basics that the new construction builder offers, you're going to pay a huge premium through the builder to actually do those upgrades. Now, it's an incentive because if you do them through the builder, you can actually finance those costs through the lender. But if you were to do those and pay a contractor outside of escrow to do those upgrades, you would pay way less money to actually complete them. And most people don't understand that. So understand, if you're wanting additional upgrades, you want to upgrade the flooring, or you don't like the countertops, or you want new cabinets in the kitchen, yeah, the builder will do it, but you're going to pay a huge premium to have them complete those projects versus doing it outside of escrow. The next thing when thinking about new construction is, typically speaking, you're going to have much smaller lots in communities than old existing homes, right? Especially here in Southern California. These builders are for profit, and the more homes they build in a community, the more money they can make. Therefore, the lot sizes are going to be smaller. The homes are going to be a little bit more narrow in most cases. They're going to go higher, 2 to 3 story construction we're seeing a lot of here lately, because they can get more square footage by going up and build more homes. Therefore, the lots are going to be smaller. Definitely something you need to consider when doing new construction. And the other thing is, a lot of communities, especially here in Southern California, you're going to pay higher taxes. Why? Because there's an infrastructure tax. Here in California, it's something called Mello-Roos, and it's basically a tax to build out the area in which they're building that community. If they need to add schools, they need to add playgrounds, they need to add streets, water systems, sewer, any of that stuff, guess what? It's a tax. And you as a homeowner end up paying for those completions, which means it's going to cost you more money to potentially buy new construction than buying existing construction. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's not all negative in owning new construction. There's definitely some positives, which we're going to go over right now. But before we do that, I want to ask a favor. If you're finding any value in this content at all, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. Feel free to share it with someone that you know that might be buying a home and considering new construction. And feel free to subscribe if you want more information on real estate. Now, one of the positives owning new construction that we mentioned earlier in this video is less maintenance, right? You don't have to worry about painting. You don't have to worry about, the structure of the home. Typically, you don't have to worry about the major systems of the property, the HVAC, the air conditioning, the furnace. You don't have to worry about replacing the dishwasher, the refrigerator, any of that stuff because it's all new. And typically there's a warranty on those. Here in California, there's a 10-year builder warranty on any new construction, which means that you really don't have to worry about much when paying that. But as I did mention earlier, you might be paying a premium to own it. So in some ways, maybe there is a cost. But the other thing is, if you're buying new construction and you're fortunate enough to be able to get in the early stages of a community or in the first phase of a multi-phase build out, you could end up profiting considerably because of the demand at the moment. Because there's a lack of supply and a huge amount of demand to own property, if you're able to get in the early stages, that means each new house, each new phase that's built is typically going to sell for more money, which means that you might end up gaining more equity by buying early on new construction versus later in the project. Now, if you're still watching this video wondering whether or not new construction is right for you versus, buying an existing home, do me a favor, check out this video here. I dive into it in more detail, giving you the pros and cons of both. But for now, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I appreciate the support. Hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.